Hi guys, I'm so pleased that the hall is full. So thank you for being here. My name is Arun Seth. I've been associated with this event and conference for the last 15 years. And I would say that it's completely changed from what we started with. You had boring people uh, talking about future. Now we have enough entrepreneurs out here who've kept you guys riveted here. So thank you for listening to all of us. But one of the things, I must say this is a very odd combination. He is a 19-year-old, I'm a 73-year-old. So on average, we are okay. But so we have, for this particular session of entrepreneurs under 21, we have young Naman here from Airbound. He's all of 19.
Yeah.
And the more important thing is he dared not to go to college. So all the parents here who want their kids to go to US and all, he's the wrong example or the right example. So listen to him, question him, and he's making delivery drones from scratch. And here's what his sample is. And let me steal a little bit of your thunder as to why I got interested in helping him to mentor him is fundamentally a 5-kilo drone. We heard yesterday there was some speaker there who was saying a 500-kilo drone will pick up 100 kilos. His dream is to get 1 kilo to lift 5 kilos. So it's never been done before, and that's why. And the reason I guess, and I'm going to get you to talk about it, is you're able to think like this because nobody ever told you in college it can't be done.
Yeah.
But let's start with your whole idea. What do you think in this delivery space? What made you do this? It's more about your story. This is not a technology session.
Yeah.
How did you get into this? What do you want to do?
No, definitely. I think sort of for me, throughout my life, I've always wanted to work on something bold, something that can scale, something that can be big. I'm a believer that technology is what leads to the biggest change in the world, right? Only by building new tech can you create something that impacts millions or even billions of people. There's no way you can do that as an individual otherwise. So I was always really excited to create new technology, but I thought the way to do it was go down the academic route. So that's why for the longest time as a kid, I was this guy who wanted to get a PhD. I wanted to go into research. I wanted to develop new technologies that way. But yeah, I think I had a lot of experiences, doing robotics and all. I think COVID also just ended up being a period where you were able to explore so much more. Lots of opportunities opened up. And that's what made me realize that, hey, you don't need a PhD to innovate. It's not a requirement to be in academia to build things that have never been built before. I can just go out and do it. And well, it's like if I'm able to do it today, then what am I going out there and getting a degree for?
Good. Well done. I'm sure you'll get a lot of questions. We'll leave some time at the end for questions. But more important, what is the disruption you want to bring in this? You've got your Darth Vader looking drone here.
Yeah.
And how is this different and what are you planning to do?
No, definitely. It's a very unique kind of drone. And I think, again, like you mentioned, it helps a lot that I was never brought up in an environment where I knew the industry standard. Like, frankly, trying to, lift 3 kgs with 1 kgs is not, it's not something where I knew that the whole world was at, 5 kgs lifting 1 kg. I was just like, what's the best I can do? And kind of went forward from there. So this is like a lot of just me looking deeply into the tech and just trying to figure out why can't it be better? Why isn't it at this level? And that's where it was just okay. What are the core problems with drone delivery? What makes drone delivery inefficient today? What can I do to make drones more effective? Right, like simple things. Why is it that planes can carry so much more of their weight as a payload than a drone can? Let's get there. And as you get there, maybe you discover certain things in structures. You discover things when working with carbon fiber that you realize hey, there are these crazy experimental methods I can use where I can get my ratios to be even better than a plane. And you just go down that rabbit hole. You keep on doing this over and over again for 4 years. Eventually, you'll end up at something
You
where...
showed me that some piece.
Yeah.
You don't have it.
Actually, yeah, unfortunately,
Okay.
I don't. But that is something that we've been working a lot on. I think the core of aerospace, a lot of things are around how do you get strength to weight right. So, how much load can an object take per kilogram of weight, for example. And that's something where we've innovated a lot. So these are kinds of trials that I stay up till like 6 a.m. doing and all. And
You told me some crazy numbers.
yeah, so we basically created a part which sustained an 80 kilo load in flex. So that means that you're basically putting the part between two blocks and you're putting a weight in between the blocks. So it took up to 18 kilos and the part weighed 2.1 grams.
So, so that's the kind of thing that, and that's because you never went to college.
that definitely played a role.
I'm glad your kids are not here. But more than that, when- considering what are the challenges? At 16, you raised money.
Yeah.
And what are the challenges being a 16-year-old entrepreneur you faced?
No, definitely.
People have said you're too young, I can't trust you with money, I can give you pocket money.
That's true. I mean,
But love to hear. I'm sure the audience would love to hear your story.
and frankly, for the VC world, the amount of money I raised at 16 was basically pocket money. But yeah, I think like one thing that did help a lot, frankly, had nothing to do with me. It's just the way the ecosystem has changed over the last couple of years. The fund that gave us our first check, grad capital, they were formed the same year that Airbound was. And frankly, I don't know if anyone else would have been willing to take a bet on a kid that was still finishing his 12th grade to build this crazy technology that nobody had thought of before. I don't know, they for some reason just saw potential in this guy who had some crazy simulations and all, who was spending like 10 plus hours a day just like sanding down parts to try and create carbon fiber pieces and all, and just like figuring out a bunch of things. So definitely I think the ecosystem is a lot better positioned for people to take bets on very, very young folks. And I think, a big part, especially at your early stage, is you need to prove that there's potential here, right? That you're thinking in the right
Okay,
direction.
you got the funding, but how do you convince somebody to join you who's 30 years old or 73 years old?
I think you have a much easier time with engineers, and also right now we're like a team of 14 or so. In fact, most people on our team are around 30 years old. I don't rush freshers to make drones like this. But I think a big part is that engineers respect engineering. In the end, engineering
You're
is...
not an engineer. Sorry.
I mean,
No, I told you I'll be very awkward with you.
It depends on how you define engineer, right? Like, I mean, my parents had the same things, like how you're an engineer if you don't have a degree. To me, I see an engineer as someone who does engineering. The fact that I'd designed this drone, I'd built it out to the point where it was, it's something where, all of the engineers in the drone industry could see that this was already leagues ahead of anything else being built, in the world, much less just in India. And that's what gets people excited to work on this, right? It doesn't matter whether it's, a 16-year-old or a 60-year-old building it. If the physics is right, the physics is right. This is the most advanced drone that is out there. And people are excited to work on that.
I must give you a health warning here. I have two children. One is 43, one is 40. Their answer to me is, Dad, anything you get excited about is too early. So, how do you battle that?
No, yeah, I mean, we're unfortunately in a road where we will perpetually be early. We're aiming for some crazy long outcomes. This is not a company where you can get results in like 6 to 7 years even, right? This doesn't fit in with most of your fund cycles. This is something where you're in this for the long road. You're in this for like at least 10, 15 years before there is any sight of, actual business success, right? I've been working on this for 4 years.
You're going to have a challenge with the VCs. I can tell you right now.
That's definitely there. But I think the good thing is that you do see more and more VCs that are betting on the future. And I think those are the people that we need. People that they're not betting on the company that, Airbound will be maybe 2-3 years down the line, but what Airbound can become 20 years down the line.
And then, before we get to the audience, how did you convince your parents? That's a hard one.
It was a lot of time. I think it helped that I started on this journey early, so there was still like 2 years of my school left before we had to make a decision. You know, I think my parents got very annoyed at me when I said that I don't want to go to college. It's like their dream vision of this their smart kid that was going to get a PhD and go into science and all, and make the family proud and be a kid that they can brag about was suddenly shattered. I think they did not believe in this for a while. So I think just to shut me up, they said that fine, if you get investment, then we'll think about it, because they never thought that I would. And then we got investment. We raised 2 rounds before I finished high school. I think the other big advantage that you get is that I applied to international universities. And at least with the US system, you have the option of taking gap years, where you still keep your admission, but you can delay your college enrollment. So I had the luxury of doing that for 2 years.
So where did you get admissions?
So I got into Carnegie Mellon, so they gave you 2 years of gap. So those 2 years have expired now. I no longer have admission there anymore. But it gave that good buffer time for, my parents to also get more and more comfortable with this. And by the time it came to the decision of where I had to give them a hard no, it wasn't a question anymore. It was pretty obvious that like this is what I should be spending my time doing, and it doesn't make sense to throw away what I built just to go to college.
No, I saw this with my own elder son. He was a banker, IIM, etc., with Citibank, and he said, "Dad, I'm bored doing mortgages. What do you want to do? I want to do restaurants." So he now runs, in fact, people are here from Bombay. He owns Bombay Canteen and a few other things like that. So the whole idea is that people of our generation and your generation should be encouraging people to do what they want. Is really what I take from there. But I think we have 8 minutes left. Let's open this to the audience for questions to Naman. Anybody has questions? Otherwise, we can all go home early. Can you speak into the mic?
Yeah. So my question is, how did you go about building a team? What team do you have? How do you go and convince? Do you have people who are above your age in your team? So just a little bit of a very intriguing story, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
By the way, his son is about to start something at MIT. So he's going to ask for.
Yeah, I mean, I am still the youngest person in my team. Let's see how long that lasts for. But yeah, I think it's interesting because our team is not what you'd expect. In fact, when starting out with hiring, I wanted to find more people like me. I wanted to find people that were like, still in college or, fresh grads and all. Because I thought like that's what you need for audacious technology like this. You need students, you need young people with crazy ideas and all. But I think what I realized later on is that
One crazy is enough.
yeah, I think you need a blend of crazy and mature. Like what helps me a lot is that I have people in my team with a lot of experience. Like the median age of someone in the Airbound team is around 30 years old. So dealing with people a lot older than me, and it does help because they're able to point out issues. They're able to find things that I could never find. Like for instance, we implemented like thrust vectoring systems, and one of my engineers basically he's just like, what the fuck, man? Why you putting a steel screw inside a carbon fiber tube? Like it's gonna work, but after like 20, 30 cycles, it's gonna wear out at the tube. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's like it came intuitively to you. It didn't come intuitively to me. I've not made parts that have to deal with that kind of wear and tear. These guys, they've seen drone systems operate for thousands of hours. They've seen what failure looks like. And they can help point out places where failure may happen. And then it's on me to either be like, yeah, you're right, we'll do something else. Or to be like, hey, no, I think because we're doing this thing, we're not going to encounter that kind of failure. And the great thing about engineering is that in the end, this is all physics, right? You're either right or you're wrong, and you can prove it. And so that's where, we devise a lot of experiments for the team. We figure out a lot of ways. In fact, I think for the longest time, nobody in my team believed in sort of the new carbon fiber processes that I'd created, I had this whole compression molding craze. They're like, it's not going to work. It's never going to be as strong as sandwich panels. And I'm just like, no, just wait. And eventually, yeah, we came out with those trials. The parts that we made are still very far from maturity, but they are a hell of a lot stronger than any of the sandwich panel parts that you can get. So I think that's there. Engineers respect good engineering. And yeah,
So if you have a need for a tinker who's 60 years old, let me know.
will do.
Any other questions, please?
Yeah,
Please
hi.
go ahead.
Arun, first, congratulations to you. You have this nice niche ability to spot youngster talent. I don't know if you're imitating Ratan Tata in terms of how he figured out Shantanu, right? So,
Well, as long as you don't want me dead, it's okay.
no, I know 20 years from now what I should be doing. Naman, thanks. The time we spent catching up. Congratulations. This is amazing that you picked up. I've recorded all of this session, video recorded. I want to show it to my son, who is 15 years old. He did 3 startups, failed 3 startups, right? I have this, you were successful, so your parents are convinced. In our house, at least his mom is still not convinced. I believe that failures are a stepping stones to learning, right? And someday he'll figure it out. But, on the question front, this is a beautiful drone. The thing that you're trying to invent is around keeping it extremely light, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I wanted to understand what could be the perils of keeping it light. Imagine a heavy wind conditions. Does your drone drift away, go away? Mm-hmm. Any thoughts around what you plan to do to address those kind of things? Thanks.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think like one question that a lot of people have is like, oh my God, if it's so light, is it safe? Can it handle force? Is it strong, right? I think the key thing around us is, and like this is something that, it's taken a while to set in the culture, is that weight and strength are 2 different things. Just because something is heavier doesn't make it stronger. There's ways to make things lighter and stronger. And that's what we've really been working towards. You want to ensure that this aircraft is crazy, crazy rigid. It needs to have a lot of strength. And how do you get it to be light without sacrificing any of that strength? Yes, everything is a trade-off, but it doesn't have to be a trade-off for the end user. The trade-off that we're working with is an engineering trade-off. It is a crazy amount of work to make something this lightweight and this strong. And we've had to spend years of R&D to make it possible. But once this product is out in the market, once this is flying and doing deliveries, it works for all of those things, right? You're thinking about, let's say, something getting thrown off in the wind. That's about, okay, how do I create the right motor systems around that? The old way we had control systems, we weren't rotating our motors. So you get very limited control with the drones. Our drones would end up crashing in about, even if the gust went up to 15 kilometers per hour. We had a lot of issues there. So then we figured, okay, why not rotate the motors? That way you can get a lot more control authority. We've had this drone now fly in 60 kilometer per hour gusts without incident. And we're further working on how do you improve the control systems and all, so that you're able to detect these things more quickly and more actively act to avoid wind. So it's not easy, and there's no sort of one-size-fits-all solution for how do you solve all of these problems that come with low weight. But our goal as a company is that we sit through every single problem and we figure out, okay, yes, this is how I can solve it.
I think we have time for one more question.
I have taken. Naman, congratulations. I think this is fantastic. You stressed on weight, you stressed on carbon fiber, sandwich, all of that on the material side. Can you just cover a few things on, this seems to be mostly I haven't seen this before, mostly a fixed wing and a combo structure. So what did you have to think from first principle, from an aviation perspective, not from a materials perspective? That would be good to understand.
Definitely. I think aviation is one of the big things that we've innovated on here. And it comes down to what I like to call the VTOL problem. So a little bit of context for everyone. VTOL stands for vertical takeoff and landing. The thing is, with drones, essentially, what you want to build is a plane. Planes are very efficient at flying. They have wings that generate lift. Now, the issue is that planes need runways to take off and land. If my drone needs a runway, then it's not going to be very good at doing deliveries. So the question is now, how do I take a plane and give it the ability to take off and land vertically? The most common solution you see is it's basically like a plane and I stick a bunch of propellers on top of it. Now the issue is that those propellers create a lot of drag, they add a lot of weight, they interfere with your lift generation, right? Lift is what? Fast flowing air over the top of the wing, slow flowing air over the bottom. pressure differential creates lift. This is like your physics class.
Bernoulli's theorem.
Yeah,
I seem to remember it.
Yeah, everyone knows it, even if you're not in aerospace.
I know it, but I never understood what the hell it was.
Yeah, but I mean, you stick a propeller in the middle of that fast-flowing air, that's got to interfere with something. And that's there. I think like lift-to-drag ratio is kind of the universal measure for aerodynamic efficiency of aircrafts. You look at your passenger planes, they have lift-to-drag ratios of 15 to 20. You look at VTOL today, it has a lift-to-drag ratio of 3 to 4. So it's a huge efficiency drop-off. And so the idea behind this frame was, how can I achieve VTOL without compromising on my flight efficiency? And that's where our drone flies in a very unique way. It essentially takes off vertically like a rocket, and then the entire aircraft rotates, and then it flies forward like a plane. So that means that when you're flying like a plane, when you're flying in your fixed wing flight, because out of 60 minutes of flight, 59 minutes will be forward like a plane. During that fixed wing region, you get complete aerodynamic efficiency.
Time is up.
So,
Do we have time for one more question?
okay, let me ask quickly. So, Naman, thanks for sharing your innovation journey with us. So my question is, as we know, there are numerous number of applications where this drone technology can be used, including food delivery to carrying the passengers. We have heard about the airborne taxis as well. So in your opinion, what is the most pressing use case that you wanted to work upon first from the Indian context perspective, where your drone can be utilized and deployed, including the commercial aspect of it?
Definitely. I think a big challenge in India is always going to be connectivity, right? You know, we're right now sitting here in Bangalore. I've spent most of my life living in Mumbai. You're in these tier 1 cities, you don't really feel it, right? Everything is accessible at the snap of a finger. In the middle of the night, you want something, someone somewhere will deliver it, because you're dealing with high density networks. The issue is that the hub and spoke model that our world is built on breaks down when you get to low density networks. You go to, you know, even fairly big tier 2 cities, tier 2, tier 3 cities, or you even go to like outskirts of Bangalore, like where we are, we're an electronic city, we don't get Amazon deliveries half the time because it's such a pain. Roads get bad, and also connectivity is a huge issue because...
You should get Flipkart delivery.
Yeah, connectivity is a huge issue because you go to more and more rural places, cost of delivery goes up, and the ability to pay for delivery goes down. What we want to create is a solution where you're dramatically reducing the cost of delivery, and that's the same everywhere. You know, with these drones, you can create a world where even if you're in, you know, tier 2, tier 3 city, you get that same level of connectivity, that same level of access to resources that you would in a Bangalore or Mumbai.
Okay, I think time's up. He's right here. Thank you.
Well, on
Thank
that
you,
note,
Naman.
we'd like to thank both Naman and Arun for that.